Welcome back to the Sons of Aries podcast with Matt Brown, Dan Saberi, and Jason Cox.
One of the only people in the world who can pronounce my name correctly first up.
Saberi?
So,
Saberi, Shaktiri.
what are we talking about today, boys?
Well, boys, today we're going to be delving slightly more into personality theory, mainly on the MBTI, which yes, we know is quite discredited, but it's a good jumping off point, these kind of things. There's more in-depth stuff that we can go from, but frankly, we don't want to bore you shit, it's in the early days. So, Matt here, it's fair to say, isn't as well well versed in these things as myself and Jace, because I've been making him obsessed with this by proxy for years and years now. So what we thought we'd do is we'd kind of give Matt the traits of what we believe his type is, see to which degree he agrees with it, then obviously do it for the rest of us, to come to the conclusion of how accurately can we type people. So let's jump straight in. Matt, we think you're an ENFJ.
Cool.
Which basically means generally top geezer. So, do we agree with you are a strong extrovert and enjoy spending time with other people? Because of this, you are rarely lonely.
Yes and no. I can be extroverted, and I when I'm not with people, I kind of want to be, but then sometimes when I am, I don't. Like it can wear me down.
Okay.
So yes and no, I'd say.
So you say you thrive in that sort of more environment.
I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. As in, like it's not I can. If I just randomly wound up being surrounded by loads of people, I could be okay for a few hours. Happy to talk to new people. Yeah, I think mostly okay, but then it really depends on the day, that
makes
mood
sense.
I'm in, because if it can being in heavy social environments can drain me quite quickly.
We are human after all.
And then I'll just leave.
Matt is known for his Irish goodbye. You have great people skills and are often warm, affectionate, and supportive.
Yeah, I'd say as a starting point.
Yeah, I would agree with that very strongly. You're quite a magnetic, popular person, so that kind of checks out.
Yep.
So thank you for not just nodding and saying a thing, because we are audio chaps. You are great at encouraging others and derive personal satisfaction from helping them.
Yeah, if people ask for my help. I don't offer it. Well, I do offer help, I guess, but
You offer it to me freely.
And yeah, can you read that again?
Yes. Where am I? You're great at encouraging others and derive personal satisfaction from helping them.
I wouldn't say I derive a great amount of satisfaction from it. I'm happy to do it if people want or need help.
But it's not like you're shit.
Yeah.
As in your jam, not like you are shit at it,
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hesitant on this one.
That's cool. ENFJs are not selfish, or to say selfless. ENFJs are selfless and are often so interested in devoting their time to others that they can neglect their own needs.
Almost the same point, really, isn't it? So again,
going back to when we were talking about the this is a different method, but with the big five and the assertive aspect, I think I'm aware that I can, the back end of that.
Neglect your own needs.
Yeah. I don't think I do that so much. I think I used to.
That was my next question. Did you learn not to?
Yeah, I think so. I think as someone who's, I don't know, quite empathetic, not as a virtue, but as just as a quite a feely person, was always, you adjust your behaviour to what you think other people need around you, and then you can feel like you're not being heard or you're not getting what you want from a situation, and then you can resent everyone else in the situation because
even though they haven't asked you to do it.
Even though they haven't asked you to do it, and then you're like, well, fuck everybody else, and then you wind up alienating yourself from people because you've adjusted your own behaviour. You feel resentful. You either don't hang around with people, or I mean, it was never really the case with my friends, because it was never really necessary. I could always just be myself or say whatever I needed to. It was kind of in either new social situations or familial or things like that.
So it's like you have this compulsion, but at the same time you kind of resent it as well.
Yeah.
Interesting, and that all checks out rather nicely, by the way. You tend to be hard on yourself and blame yourself when things go wrong, and not give yourself enough credit when things go right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that sounds spot on, like you.
Yeah, I don't tend to. Well, I know I'm better at it than I used to be. I think uni definitely helped with that because you kind of have to, because you keep scoring like higher and higher grades. You can't just be like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I'm really bad at this.
Yeah, if you have imposter syndrome but you're really good, the world will eventually slap you in the face with it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're obviously good.
Well, I wouldn't say really good, but like I definitely showed.
You're literally doing it now. So
modest level 10.
We'll stick a check on that one, shall we?
Fair enough.
Good at bringing consensus
Quite
amongst
out there.
diverse people. For this reason, they can be outstanding leaders and bring enthusiasm to a group. They can be motivating and inspirational. Hard to answer with someone who's intrinsically bashful, then.
Let me say that again. ENFJs are good at bringing consensus among diverse people. For this reason, they can be outstanding leaders and bring enthusiasm to a group that can be motivating and inspirational. I guess the kind of like stuff I've been doing in Edinburgh, kind of activist organisations I've been sort of orienting towards, helping out, sort of running meetings, or I've been doing a lot of public speaking recently as well. I sort of emceed for a couple of events, filled in, spoken, I've organised some events, spoken at them, introduced them, sort of, and these are like fairly large, sort of like 200 people in a room, and yeah, people seem to be quite happy for me to be there doing that. I think that's something I'm capable of doing.
It all checks out on it. Yeah, I've seen that. So we've seen obviously you in real life, but also your videos when you've been away for a bit as well. Just curious, let's say when you're interacting with a large group like that in a reasonably impersonal way,
Sure.
what are you kind of doing or thinking or feeding on? Like, are you reading the room and adjusting yourself, or have you got what you've got to say and you're just like chucking in a bit of charisma to make it funny, or what?
So, the presentations I've done one sort of 10-minute talk on free speech in Scotland. I had I had 5 minutes to talk, and so I had like a kind of set list of things to say, and then there was a Q&A afterwards. Hosted an event on low traffic neighbourhoods and low emission zones in Edinburgh. I introduced that event, and then there were a panel of speakers and I was emceeing, so I was sort of introducing speakers, and then during the Q&A I was holding the microphone up, and then sort of it didn't go back to the panel because there were loads of people asking questions, and I wanted to make sure everyone got the chance to say what they had to say. And then I did emceed another event on the attempt to ban conversion therapy with regards to the trans stuff. Not to get too deep into that, that's kind of like conversion therapy obviously brings up a lot of pray away the gay, not very nice things we did to homosexuals previously. But what it actually means in this context is when a kid says, oh, I think I might not be a boy or I might not be a girl, if you say anything other than, oh, good, yes, that's correct, that's considered conversion therapy, and there's an attempt to get that banned. And so there was an event that was put on to kind of discuss this, and I emceed for that, and I had like a prepared speech to begin with to do it. So like I wasn't doing a lot of interact with that one. I was sort of pulling panelists back and forward, but I wasn't really engaging with the audience.
So you were somewhat controlling the interaction.
Yeah, sort of bringing people in, or sort of a topic would come up and I'd say, okay, well, Stuart, why don't you come in on this one, or do you want to talk on this point, and sort of, so it was a bit more, just like my controlling, just sort of like coordinating the. Does that answer your question? Kind of like that.
Yeah, that's bang on. I would say that's the kind of ideal role for the archetypal ENFJ, really. So just, I guess, a reasonably more quickfire strengths and weaknesses bit. Outgoing and warm-hearted.
Yeah, sure, can be.
That's pretty obvious to those who know you, I'd say. Empathetic, you mentioned that, and it's, again, we can see that in your interactions in general. You do pick up stuff about people quite quickly. Or certainly care about it.
Well, I think it's like, I don't know. well, I mean, if we define empathy as like being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, I think I just feel uncomfortable, or like I think when I would feel uncomfortable about something, and I consider, well, I'm the same animal as everybody else, so if you know, I know you can project, right, and so everyone's different, so I'm wrong sometimes, obviously. But I generally think if like, well, I would be uncomfortable, or that line of questioning, or I don't know, whatever's happening here, I'd have this response to it, so maybe that guy's having this response to it.
So do you like, to use the cliche analogy of it, actually feel people's feelings a bit? Because as a disagreeable person who's quite low in this, that seems like weird magic to me.
I don't think I'd put it as feeling other people's feelings. I think they're just my own feelings, and well, it's easier for me as well if I know people a little bit, because I can kind of get a sense of who they are, and like,
You're like, that's out of whack for them.
Yeah, like, you know, this person's comfortable doing this, or this is when they're most lively, or whatever, and then like this is when they're reserved, and I don't know. I trying to articulate it's strange. That's kind of something that just kind of happens, or I try to pick up on.
I guess that's kind of the point, though, isn't it? That if with empathy, it's such an intrinsic thing of like feeling, which is something a lot you can't explain so much.
Yeah,
that,
it's not rational necessarily.
That to someone that may be low in it or not have it at all, it would be difficult.
Well, I mean, it was like I was quite painful when I was a kid. Like, it was something I definitely didn't like about myself, because it was just you just walking around uncomfortable.
Just like,
just all the time. And so I think like I put a lot of effort into just like shutting it off, because I thought I could, which turned out not to be a great idea.
Do you know what's really amusing is there's endless anecdotes of people who are ENFJs doing exactly that, where they kind of get overloaded as a kid, like, you know, in the Man of Steel film, where he's like in the cupboard, like, I can fucking hear everything, it's too much, I can't do it, kind of like that, so you have to go like a bit cold on it.
Yeah. Then you can make the mistake of going too cold, and then you do a bunch of stupid shit that hurts people, and then eventually when you stop turning it off, you're like, now this really hurts, because now I can feel all of the pain I've caused, as well as like the pain I was trying to avoid, and now this is painful, and it's just like, this was a fucking terrible idea. But again, you're a kid, right? And like, I guess if the people around you don't have an understanding that that's what's going on inside someone's head, there's no advice anyone can give you.
So let's say, for people like me and him looking in at you, we'd need you to tell us that's what you're going through.
Yeah.
Because obviously we just see you just sat there all kind of like vaguely smiling or looking into the middle distance or whatever. And we can work out, something's up with Matt.
Yeah, but nothing beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good at it.
It's a much more like binary functioning or not functioning.
Is he on the floor?
Is it a switch on, or is it?
Do I need to pick him up, or is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one, but
It's fascinating listening to you say all this, bearing in mind that with no observer effect, we've barely briefed him on what any of these things are, certainly not in depth. And it's just like watching a Matrix code go off when you're talking to me. It's fantastic. Thanks. It's incredible. There's my type, spoiler to come for later.
Is it woman in the red dress beautiful, or is it?
You're always beautiful. So the next summary is listed as a strength is having a wide social circle. I mean, we can skip that because you objectively know a lot of people. That's kind of boring, to be honest.
I think it just means you keep access to a large group of like friends or associates, rather than being like closed to like a select one or two or few.
Okay.
Like an expanded.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I've been pretty selective with my friends. Well, one, because most of my friends are people I went to school with, and when I was sort of in my mid-20s, I was not that like I knew people. I worked with people. I went travelling or whatever, and you meet people and you get on with people, and I am still in contact with some of these people, and would consider them my friends, but like I was never interested in new friends. Like I was quite content with the people I don't know. I guess I draw like a sharper distinction between like acquaintance, someone I've known for quite a long time, and someone who I consider my friend. I feel like you have to.
So that's understanding the spectrum of values there, essentially.
Yeah, because I feel like all of the people I mean, yes, it's circumstantial. Like, we were all born in the same place, went to the same school or whatever. We didn't do anything to bring that about. But I feel like I've been through things with all of the people that I consider to be my friends.
And actually
Like
help
all
to
of
develop
us.
each other as well. So there's
Yeah,
kind of a
well,
unique
like,
thing in
yeah,
that.
we've all like fed into each other, and some of us have been going through stuff, or things haven't been going well. Like, we've all been there to take the piss out of each other, kick each other when we're down, and pick each other up again,
And teabag and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. And so like I've like, yes, I'm. Because this is one of the reasons why I came off social media, because I didn't like that extended, like having like Facebook friends or loads of.
But they're not a real friend, are they?
No,
Like,
that's
they're
that,
not like a.
but that's
But
what
within
I
he's getting at. He doesn't
that's
like
what I
the
mean.
glib bollocks of it. Everyone's
Oh,
like, yeah,
yeah.
we're friends. Like,
Oh,
we're
I see,
fucking
yeah.
Yeah, so
friends.
I came off it because I was like,
Maybe
I
what
don't
would you
like
feel it's a
having-
bit like just ingenuine, like sort of thing.
No, it was well, the multiple reasons why I came off social media, because it was increasingly apparent to me that they weren't good for your brain. Like I was
Yeah.
I was sat like on my lunch breaks at work after Jake quit, who I worked with. Like, I would just sit there and just scroll through my phone for fucking hours, and I was like, I caught myself one day being like, what
am
are
I
you
doing? Yeah.
What like there's it was like summer, and I was like inside just like.
Yeah, looking at shit.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, go outside, you dickhead. Go and sit in
Yeah.
a garden. There's like bees outside and lavender. Go and sit around that.
And chat to them.
Yeah, go and talk to the bees.
The druid.
Yeah, so yes and no. Like I like meeting new people. Like I made some really good friends in New Zealand. Met some awesome people in Thailand. I'm sure I'll meet some people when I go away.
So
in
kind
September.
of easy to interact with and socialise and get on with people, but not necessarily easy to become close to them.
Yeah, I would say I have quite a high bar for people I consider to be my friends.
That's cool. That makes sense. Encouraging.
You're doing fine, mate.
Cheers. That was sort of middling level encouraging.
Yeah.
That's very good. Like you just are an encouraging guy. You G people up. You go and support people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
well,
that
no,
kind of
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, it's like someone's going to give something a crack, right? I might not think it's a great idea, but it's like, hey, give it a crack, man.
You were literally encouraging us to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there you go, yeah.
Well, I feel inspired.
I am leveled up.
This one, I don't think you'd agree with. Organised.
I don't
Don't try and make it fit.
Don't. No, I'm thinking about what I do. I don't like to be organised. Like,
Do you feel restrained then? If
restrained, and also I can't be bothered. Like, I didn't do a lot of. So my first and second year at uni, I was very organised. I think COVID helped, just because it was just I had nothing else to do. So I was like, I had scheduled my day, worked through things. I had a reading list, and I kind of like tick things off or whatever. And then after year 2, I just stopped doing it. Still got all my work done and everything. Like I like got pretty decent scores. Finished with a 2-1. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself an organised person. Like, I don't really have my life that much in order. Like, I don't have a house or like a car or anything. Like, I do feel kind of constrained by those things. I don't like the idea of getting like a full-time job, which sounds not great to most people, I think. But I don't know. I'm. Yeah, there's like a part of me that I don't know. I like to just pick myself up and go when I feel like it, and I feel like being too organised prevents that from me from being able to do that.
I understand. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Affectionate.
Yes.
You do a lot of hugs.
Yeah.
You're a huggy boy.
Yeah, I like a good hug.
That's fair. That's pretty
Kiss and a cuddle, not from you two.
pretty
Just
much,
to reiterate.
pretty
Yeah.
much cut and shut, really, that one, isn't it?
I like cuddles.
Persuasive, sell me this pen.
Only if you want it, mate.
Oh shit, mate, do I might want it. Maybe I need it.
I don't need a pen.
Persuasive.
I've got my own.
Well, I'm trying to like narrow down between, or think about the difference between persuasion and manipulation.
I think something like when you're talking, you don't give up easily on points. You do reiterate yourself and extend your points to a degree of which to try and persuade someone, basically. Because I think
like
you
when we were
wouldn't want to
talking
give like a vague explanation for something or whatever, because you feel like you'd be missing out a lot of information. You want to try and get as much across as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, to persuade someone to say,
Right.
look, that is correct because this, and this.
Right. So a bit like when we first started talking about whether or not the table exists, and then the second time you were like, I actually can see a little bit more of what you're driving at with regards to metaphysics. We won't rehash the conversation.
No,
we can go back to episode 2. But yeah, you mean like that? Like, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
I like to try and, I guess, say the same thing in a different way. But I don't know. I don't know whether I consider myself persuasive, which is kind of somewhat persistent. If I want something, or I feel that like it's important to get a point across.
Kind of part of it though, the will to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess more because I don't know. Because I spent. No, I think I can be because I've had a lot of interactions at uni where I'm, because I'm getting involved in the kind of social justice conversation, but from like a kind of heterodox perspective.
So, but which side is he on?
There's kind of like the ones that normally adopt the kind of oppressor-oppressed narrative, and I'm kind of very critical of that. And what often happens at first point of contact when someone comes across that, because there's an emotional attachment to the kind of orthodox social justice arguments, if you're a critic of it, you're treated with suspicion, because the belief is that, well, my position on this is I'm an empathetic person as well, and I care about minorities or dispossessed people, and this person's coming along and critiquing the way I'm thinking about it, so he must be against the people that I'm trying to act on behalf of. And I've had a lot of, like, a good number of interactions where people have been like, well, but I don't, like, do you have a problem with, like, minorities or gay people or trans people? And I'm like, well, let me talk you through my position, like, step by step, or, like, I'll do some anecdotes, and then people leave being like, oh, you're not actually a hateful person, you just think a little differently about this, and you're able to back it up and support it. I might not agree with you, but you're able to put it forward at the very least. So
I would say that's reasonably persuasive. Right, now the fun bit, weaknesses.
You're weak.
Approval seeking. Or I would say maybe validation would be interchangeable with that.
Yeah. I don't like it. And I think that's something I've corrected for. Again, I think it was something I was like, I wanted when I was younger, but was too polite to, like, ask. Or, like, signify that I wanted it, because it felt like I was being annoying, or... but it was also something I think I resented about myself. I didn't like that I wanted people's attention or approval. I don't know.
Sounds like you had quite a lot of dissonance going on.
Oh, a shit ton. I'm a walking contradiction half the time. It's quite fun.
There's a lot of pain in the eyes there.
Yeah,
So
no, it's yeah. No, especially when I was younger. I think, but I mean, like, God, you're a kid, right? So, like, you've probably got loads of different aspects of your personality bashing up against each other anyway.
Try to fight, see which one wins out.
Right.
As you get to an adult. Yeah.
Right.
Fucking hormonal chaos.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Next one, which you have kind of alluded to accidentally throughout this, overly sensitive.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I tear up a lot more now than I used to. Which I'm okay with.
Then that's not overly. I'd say maybe back in the day you're talking about, you said you didn't like a lot of these emotional parts of yourself, or maybe needy, I don't know what the right word is. But it seems to me that maybe your nature was to be quite sensitive to a degree where it was reasonably debilitating.
Yeah, and also I think like with regards to like relationships or dating, I think because I'm an emotional person and can be quite intense with it as well. I was always like, going back to the lover archetype, right? The thing that he's afraid of is rejection, and because it's like I have this, like, not to be too poetic about it, but this kind of just burning like passion or fire for someone or something, and I'm like, well, I could show it to you and it's gonna freak you out and maybe be a bit too intense and it's gonna put you off, and then you aren't gonna talk to me, and then I'm gonna be alone again. And so it's like I've done a lot of like holding back or like not
But then, of course, they think, oh, he's cold and not interested.
Well, that and the resentment thing kicks in again.
Yeah.
Because I'm spending so much of my time and energy holding back how I feel.
But you're doing what the fuck you want.
Well, not so much that. It was like I resent you for making me feel like I have to do that.
Even though they've not actually done anything, it's just kind of like a
well,
speculation.
Or maybe I'm not. Yeah, and like I've. And also the cold thing happened a lot as well. Like I said, especially in my mid-20s, I was not very nice to a lot of the women that I dated, just because I was like, I would be like myself when we met. They would be attracted to that, and then I would get like worried about, I don't know, being myself too much or
overexposing.
Well, and then like feeling vulnerable with people, and so then I would close my emotions off, and then I'd be cold, and then I'd want like I'd want what I want out of the relationship, usually physical. And then when they'd want some like emotional like responses or engagements, and I also had a lot of things I was like not willing to talk about, and then so like emotional conversations usually wind up to those things. And I was like, well, I'm not going there, so it's not happening. And then I'd wind up just being a dick. Yeah, so
that's actually fascinating. Because to me, that actually what I'm getting out of that is I've been with quite a few women who I would type as some kind of NFJ. And that sounds really familiar to how they'd be. So it's like, they like you so much, then they resent you because they like you so much, and they kind of addict to you. And then they're all over you, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes.
And then they're back to being like, well, that was too much love, and I'm exposed now. It's like, fuck you! Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe it wasn't all my fault. Anyway, next weakness is indecisive. Matt, what do you want for dinner?
Chicken.
But which type of chicken?
I'm a thigh man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I like
You're an arse man, Wadge.
Indecisive. I don't think so.
Brilliant. Yeah. Next one.
No. Come on. I don't think
The fact that you're battling it now that's enough.
To be fair, I generally haven't seen you as a flip-flopper because people like that really piss me off.
Right.
And I've never thought, fucking hell, get on with it.
Well, I have a strategy for when I can't make a decision.
Do you outsource it to someone else?
No. Usually both is my answer. Like, especially when it's to do with food.
Oh,
like
shit.
this or this, I'm like, I'll just have both of them.
That's so indecisive.
No, it's not.
But I quite like how you've cut through the indecision.
Yeah.
That's a good system for it.
Yeah.
I like that.
That still
it's
isn't
like having a
making
back door
decision.
through the coding. I like it.
Yeah, no, the decision is I will have both. Don't limit me.
Don't control me, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything now that is
So
yes or no.
We're basically undecided. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, others would be here all day. Next weakness,
Yeah, go on.
self-sacrificing. Got a little bit of that martyrdom in you?
Yeah, a little bit. Do you remember when we were at school? I think it was year 6. We were going to go on a trip to Woburn Safari Park, and I think it was Elliot Doby put someone's shoe in the bin.
Elliot, you dick.
And the teacher was like, "Who put the shoe in the bin?" It was like one of the girls' shoes or whatever.
Right.
He took it, and it might not have been
I
him.
vaguely remember.
But someone put a shoe in the bin, and then the teacher was like,
Allegedly.
"Someone own up to who put the shoe in the bin, or we're not going to Woburn
Yes.
Safari Park." And then she was like counting down, and I was like, "Well, look, I want to go to fucking Woburn Safari Park,
So you got
I'm just gonna say,
I am Spartacus.
I'm just gonna say I took the fucking shoe,
Yeah.
because maybe they'll be like, oh, what a man, you did the thing, whatever." And then they were like, "You didn't do this," and I was like, "Fucking."
Let me take this one.
I was just like, they're like, "No, you didn't." I know, like, I don't know how they know I didn't, but I think.
He pulled the cord in the vest, but it was a dud.
No, I think I can be. I mean, like I said the other day, when we were talking about compassion, like I have like a ceiling for it, as everyone does, but it's like, yeah.
You haven't struck me as like a pathological martyr because I've known people like that, and I've kind of been like that slightly myself, and I don't think you're very much like that.
No, I'm just trying to.
It's more like functional, like you said, like, well, I guess if I don't, I'm
pragmatic.
fucked anyway, so we may as well make everyone
maybe
else not
calculus,
fucked.
Yeah, something like that, or maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I would say not too much. Not that self-sacrificing. I guess I would rather just solve the problem rather than like throw myself down for the sake of.
Yeah.
achieving something.
Which I'm actually really suspicious of people who are very, what's the word, martyr-ish,
Yeah.
inclined towards martyrdom. Cause
Whether it's in genuine or not, that's what I was going to
because
say.
maybe there's a tit for tat deal with the devil going on.
Yeah. Like, I'll do it this time, but you better remember it because I want something back for this, which isn't genuine self-sacrificial behaviour.
No.
It's banking.
Yeah.
It's banking.
Like I say, tit for tat, like. Yeah.
So penultimate weakness, overprotective. It says here.
Is that of oneself or others?
I would imagine that's of others. Because then that'd be excessively defensive.
A little. I don't think so. I think I'm appropriately protective. I'm not willing to kind of like step in for somebody because I'm like, I can see an injustice has occurred here, so I'm going to step in and speak on your behalf, kind of thing. Or I kind of like I let things play out. I like to let people deal with their own problems as best they can, and then, like I said about help earlier, if someone is in trouble or I don't know needs help, I'm more than happy to step in, I guess. But I wouldn't say overprotective.
But not like seeing yourself up in lights with a Superman cape on.
No, I mean, it was like with my sisters at school, for example. Like, I largely stayed out of their business. Well, and I was doing this whole shutting my emotions thing off, so that contributed to that. But like, if they were being picked on or whatever, like, they would come and tell me, and then I'd go and get involved or just stand near it. So I never had to do any like actual intervention. It's just being there is generally enough. It was like when. So in the flat across the way, where Shilly used to live, it was a Friday night, we were just having some drinks with Shilly, a couple of his mates he used to work with. It's about 2:30, 3 in the morning, town's kicking out. The last couple of dregs of people are leaving before it gets quiet.
They're all dregs.
Yeah. And we were among them. It was
yeah.
And it was about 2:30. I was stood at the balcony, it was nice, like balmy summer's evening kind of thing, and and this couple were walking down the high street, passing in front of the window, just drunk and fucking whatever, and out of nowhere, this bloke just shoves this girl into a bush, and I was like, that's an odd thing to do. But I didn't like immediately react because I was like, well, they're pissed.
You don't know the full
That
story.
could have been an accident. He could have just been jovially pushing her about, and he's drunk and he overdid it or whatever. So I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. She gets up, and then he just chucks her back in the bush again. Jesus. And I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, well, that was intentional, right? So I yelled out at him, right? He just ignored me, and then And he walked off and he was still giving her a hard time or whatever. And I turned around to the boys and I said, lads, this bloke's giving this woman a hard time. We have to go sort it out. And so someone jumped over the balcony, for fuck's sake. I took the door because
you're not a ghost.
Yeah. And then they were, 3 or 4 of them were like fucking running off to it, as in like going to give him a hard time. And I called them back once I'd got out onto the street. And I just said, lads, look, stop. Hang fire. Just wait 10 seconds, right? Because now we're on the street, he's seen us, and he's stopped, right? The thing that was the problem is him giving her a hard time has now stopped happening because he's realised that... Because he ignored me because he thought I was one guy on a balcony. And now there's 5 of us, and we're on the street, and we're 50 yards away from him. So he stopped giving this woman a hard time. And the funniest thing, but like about 10 seconds after I called everybody back, a police car drove around the corner. And, like if...
They would have got done for beating the shit out of this bloke.
100%. 4 lads kicking the shit out of some guy. She immediately, because I waved the police car down as it came around the corner. I was like, come here. He's giving her a hard time, go sort it out. She obviously immediately jumped to his defence. But whatever.
That happens a lot, apparently.
Her fucking problem.
As much as we've heard.
And yeah, so I don't know. I didn't feel compelled to go and kick the shit out of the guy, get too involved. I was like, well, look, we've done enough. The problem's stopped. The police are now there. They'll deal with it. We're done. Let's go. So, not to blow too much smoke on my arse, but
that sounds an appropriate level of protection and good, insightful leadership to me. He nods bashfully. So the final one is, I'm going to say, tendency to be able to, well, ability to be manipulative. Let's put it that way, because I don't want to say tendency to, because that sounds like they're all motherfuckers.
yes, no, I can be.
So you have to like check yourself. Not like you want to do it, but you're like, I could. I could.
Well, no,
I
so my moral code when I was in my mid-20s was if I do it, it's good, and if I don't do it, it was good that I didn't do it.
You should be in Parliament.
Or in prison. So, like, I've been in states of mind where the, saying whatever I need to get what I want was absolutely an option. I didn't care if it was a lie, I didn't care if it was not, like, if it was manipulative, I was more than happy to do it. So yeah, it's something that I'm definitely capable of, and I don't like to do it, and I'm very careful with how I talk about, especially like with like the activism or the things I do. I'm very, very careful that I don't engage in. I probably cut my nose off to spite my face a little bit with that one, because maybe there's like some, I don't know, healthy way of doing it.
Some degree of it would be par for the course in that kind of field.
Maybe, but I don't know. It feels, I don't know, like I shouldn't, because not just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean I should.
Great response, I think. So, having gone through all those, how do we feel that matches up to Matt? Bearing in mind, no one is going to be like 100% down the line.
I'm thinking somewhere like 75%.
I was thinking something like, I was listening to that, I was like, this is definitely the correct type.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe 80. 75, 80.
Let me ask you a question. How is this different from someone reading through a series of horoscope like little tidbits, you know, and saying, oh, I don't know, you're like this in this occasion, or you're like this in this occasion, and they're like, oh, I am like that. Oh, yes, that is me.
I'd say because those things tend to be more vague, whereas a lot of those I could easily disagree with myself. Strengths and weaknesses, straight up.
This is what I was going to say in that. Because you're soon...
That was a bit of a straw man question.
Oh, that's another one of the other Matt uses. You're about to hear some stuff about other types.
Okay.
So you'll be able to get like how different or how vague or non-vague that was. I see what you're saying, but it's like, that's generally what's the one called? It's kind of based on empirical evidence. Like, oh, we've noticed a lot of people who might be like this are vaguely like this.
Okay.
Not just like, oh, there's a, you know, the moon was in recession or what? I don't know. I fucking do it. Anyway, so it's Jason's turn. Now, Jason is smirking in a rather minx-like fashion as an ISTP. So, basically, special forces or mechanic type person. So, the consummate thinking special boys. So, some characteristics. It says, goal-directed. People with this personality are results-orientated. I hate when it says oriented. When there's a problem, they want to quickly understand the underlying cause and implement some type of solution.
I don't know about that.
I think goal-orientated is wrong, but more like work it out.
Yeah. Depends what. Yeah, it's difficult one to answer that one. I think because depends what we're doing. Because I'm not like all about reaching just the end, and just I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that is the ultimate thing to complete whatever
I'd say
it is.
this is more getting over that hurdle as opposed to banging right to the end, if you see what I mean. I don't think it's amazingly worded in terms of goal, but it's certainly
more like figuring out what to do to win or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So to clamp at that hurdle essentially.
Yeah.
That
work
does
out
sound
what,
like you.
what doesn't necessarily need to be happening. Yeah. Okay.
What about that point about underlying causes, though?
I think you actually do that a lot, as in working out the underlying cause behind things, because you have a lot
as
of
to
insight.
why. As to why it's
well, maybe they were like this.
Why something's broken or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you know, whether you're talking about an object or like a person who might have annoyed us or been upset or whatever, you're much better at that than I am, because I'm just like dick. But yeah, you definitely think quite deeply about like what could be up, or what are the different factors that could have contributed to
maybe
that.
consider more surrounding the attitude. Yeah.
It's not like it's not a binary coin toss. I think so. That's
Okay.
kind of right, perhaps poorly worded.
We'll see.
Open to new experiences. Funny enough, you enjoy new experiences and may often engage in thrill-seeking or risk-taking behaviours. They often engage in risky or fast-paced hobbies such as motorbikking, hang gliding. These are very specific, basically extreme shit. In some cases, they may seek out adventure by choosing careers in areas such as racing, flying, or firefighting. Again, this is one of those things that you were alluding to there, where this is a bit pigeonholy. So I'm actually not a big fan
No, I'm not.
of how this is worded. But I say, yeah, so this is more like you like to do shit kind of out there and off the cuff, not necessarily extreme.
Adrenaline seeking, kind of.
Yeah, a bit
I'll have a go.
more different to like, because obviously it's alluding there to like motorcycles, things like that, not just cars. So it's, I think, something a little bit off of the regular track of what most people would be into.
But mainly just not rejecting stuff off the bat and having a go is what I'd say this is kind of getting at.
Yeah, I think, I would like to give a lot of things a go. Maybe not necessarily like motorbiking. I've never been interested in things like that, but yeah, possibly.
It's very infrequently in life that I've suggested something and you've gone, oh, fuck that. Straight away you go, I'll you at least have a look.
Yeah.
I think. And that's pretty fair.
Okay.
But I think, again, this is a bit pigeonholed, like, you must be a maniac to be an ISTP. I think it's very silly. Objective. Prefer to make judgments based on objective criteria rather than personal beliefs or values.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think that's quite a cut and shut one.
That is, yeah.
That's basically, are you a feeler or are you a thinker?
Yeah.
Distilled
Think about
into
what needs to be done and what way, and act accordingly.
Implement.
Because, you're the same as me, I think, in the way that you'll see people get wound up by certain things and go, yeah, but I can see that's rubbish or this has happened. You feel that way, but basically you're wrong because I can see this. I think that's it. We're not saying that's the right way to be. We're saying that's how the ISTP/Jace is. Reserved but even-tempered. That sounds bang on off the bat, to be honest. Often described as quiet but with an easygoing attitude towards others. Can be talkative at work or in settings where they have a great deal in common with others. That is weirdly similar, like almost verbatim to the kind of way you describe your work interaction.
Well, you were just saying
I said earlier.
You're a bit more jovial and talkative at work than you are outside of it.
Odd.
So you need to have a comfort with the setting.
But I certainly can
people.
be, quiet. Definitely.
I've seen you be really taciturn with like groups of new people where
Taciturn, maybe.
Sorry, kind of like reticent, bashful, quiet. Okay. So a bit rando. For those who can't see Jace, good-looking boy, gets a lot of attention. Now we're in a bar in one of the local towns. I don't know, it must have been just before the pandemic, and this really quite nice girl was trying really hard to talk to him. And he was just having fucking none of it. I don't think you knew that she was doing like air quotes and advance, but you were very like, yeah, no, yeah, no, just staring around the room.
Yeah.
Like you were there for some kind of mission. Other than that, it's like, this is James Bond. Even like James Bond goes for it. Yeah, exactly that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'd say pretty reserved in that regard. Yeah. Emotionally detached. Not well attuned to the emotional states of others, and they can sometimes be seen as cold, unfeeling, or insensitive. They distance themselves from their own emotions, ignoring their feelings until they become overwhelming. Yeah, I've definitely been told that. Yeah, I don't show that much emotion, like physically, or not physically, just emotionally. In relationships, like I'm often prompted to do so, and it feels like uncomfortable, especially when put on the spot. Sure. You're like, you know I like it. Like you can, it's
like I'm
horrible feeling.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're not used to having the vocabulary to like deploy answers that are. Well, and then I guess because then you start looking for the things to say that will end this interrogation that you're under. Yeah. And then it just comes across a little bit authentic. Yeah, it can sound like made up. Yeah. It's like, but you put me on the spot, like a... Yeah. What do you want from me?
You say a lot that you hate being put on the spot.
Oh yeah, I do.
Don't know why you're friends with me then, because it's all like, I just fucking shine spotlights on people like they're escaping from coldness all the time.
You talk now. Yeah. Go.
You are being hailed. Speak. So, I'm curious in that last line. Ignore feelings until they're overwhelming. Is this kind of thing you've experienced? Have you tried to, maybe not ignore something? Yeah, maybe like I can put a shield up for a time in terms of emotion, but then when
I suppose it keeps getting battered. It gets to a point where I have to act or whatever. Or
Sure.
So what happens at that point? Do you like address it quite clinically and head on, or do you go like fuck?
I don't know.
Well, he's answered that question in actually a much more revealing way than he probably thought. Level-headed. One common misconception about ISTPs is that they are the stoic, silent type. While they tend to be reserved, this does not mean they do not experience strong emotion. Instead, they're good at keeping a cool head, maintaining objectivity, and coping with crises. So would you say like you're feeling more than you show, or is it basically like you're just all right?
He's always all right.
These are very difficult to answer.
Yeah. For
think.
anyone who doesn't know him, that's his catchphrase. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah, generally, I don't think too much about. Well,
You're thinking a lot about this right now.
yeah,
Been put on the spot here.
yeah. Reserve. This doesn't really experience. I think it's more like I end up thinking about stuff more when, like, after on my own, rather than in the moment.
Fair enough.
Oh, analysis. Okay.
Yeah, like post-analysis. Yeah, and then I come up with more of the answer
Yeah,
than
that's
in the moment.
probably smart.
Yeah. So maybe that's why it sort of alludes to keeping cool, because at that point I'm more just remaining at a level rather than being over emotional
Sure,
either way
sure.
on things.
That's interesting.
Well, I think you can like resolves the issue of making stupid impulsive decisions based on initial emotional reactions.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you act, and then like an hour later you're like, well, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because now I've thought about it, and
Yeah.
there was 3 or 4 other things I could have done. If I'd have just taken the time to think about it, they would have possibly made themselves aware to me and could have acted differently.
Mm.
I can see how that could make you come a cropper in a relationship situation, though. So we've all been in that place where you know it's tense, it's going a bit tits up, and there's that shit or bust conversation or whatever you're having, where if you're maintaining being level-headed for later analysis, they'll think, oh, he
doesn't
really
care.
doesn't give a
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
can see
Yeah.
how that would go.
Like,
tits
why do you
up.
not fight for this or whatever? Or,
That's a term that I
Yeah.
hate.
yeah.
Just to kind of go on a tangent. Always like, why aren't you fighting for this? I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Who am I fighting?
Mm.
What do you consider to be fighting at this moment?
Mm.
Just
basically getting
shouting
emotional.
and pretending that I'm not who I am.
Yeah.
Like, well,
Yeah.
what do they want from you at that point? But hey, that's another discussion because we'll go off on one for that.
Yeah.
So that
I'd
seems.
say we've seen
We'll come back to it.
a better set of points.
Why won't you fight for these conversations?
Yeah. The fuck you.
Sorry,
So
Jason, carry on.
I'd say before, when having researched this sort of thing, we've come across a better selection of sort of descriptions
I think-
and things. I think.
These are not worded particularly well,
Mm.
but I think that the crux of it is pretty much what you'd expect of this archetype. So onto the strengths and weaknesses. So strengths, logical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Definitely. Yeah.
pretty much doesn't need that much, but
Yeah.
to an annoying degree sometimes actually. Learns by experience.
Yeah, definitely. Hands-on. Have a go to learn rather than learn. You can only get so far reading about something
Yes.
than actually doing the thing. I think
100%.
physically learning something is you need to get on with it.
What's it? It reminds me of this, like a Napoleon quote. I'm paraphrasing. It's things that are consistent in theory are often chaotic in practice.
Yeah.
So you can sit and
Oh, yeah.
that's why I got that from Mark Horrigan. I know why you're laughing.
Mm.
So basically,
Because it's true.
it is true.
This is how something should work on paper,
So-
but when you actually go and do it, it reacts differently or whatever.
No plan ever survives contact with the enemy. That kind of thing. So unless you're there on the ground or you've done it, you don't know what's going to happen. You know the nuances. Everything can go like clockwork in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But to say you have the best laid plan and it's raining.
I
Fuck.
found doing any sort of work on any sort of like house shit or anything, there's always hiccups. No matter what it is, anything you try, it'll always take you twice as long because there'll be something wrong or something.
There's
unforeseen.
asbestos behind this
you
wall
didn't take
now.
into consideration.
Yeah.
some
There's
additional
always
complexity.
something.
Or that you couldn't
In
have
anything
known
I've done.
without being
No.
hands-on
No.
there, yeah.
No, like recently, I'll give an example. I changed a light in my kitchen area, and where the beam of wood goes across the ceiling is only a thin amount. So where the previous one was attached, and when the new one sits on, it's not quite lined up properly, so he had to like basically bodge it. And obviously that's unforeseen. You can't know that until you get up there and do it.
So like, it
Things
doesn't,
like that.
because you can eyeball it a bit.
If someone gave you like a step-by-step theoretical list of how to change a light bulb, and then you bump into the difficulty of it not being where you need it to, or and then you have to be like, well, and if you were just going off the list,
it will be like, oh, that'll take 5 minutes.
I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, and
yeah. Fair enough.
That's right. I'd fuck it off. If the instructions don't work, I'm like, this is your fault. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Best laid plans of mice and men often go, was it gang athlete? Awry, but whatever.
Yeah.
Alright. Sorry, bit of a Gavin and Stacey thing. Action orientated, not oriented, as these clear Americans have written here.
Yeah.
Is it orientated?
Yeah. For me it is. And my word is not.
Yeah, less speculation, more action. Actually doing it. Do the thing.
So let's say in like a COD situation, I don't want to talk about war because we haven't been to war, but it's translatable vaguely. You'd rather stick your head out and try and take a shot if you're being suppressed than to sit in the foxhole and like dig a trench for your poos and stuff. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Realistic and practical. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. No, go ahead.
Realistic and practical.
Yeah. I can indulge in the philosophical or abstract, but then when it comes down to it, it needs to be functional in the real world and work.
Which is why we're doing all this, actually, yeah. So, rather pithy summing up of our whole philosophy there. Enjoys new things.
Cut the shit.
Yeah. Don't be pretentious.
Yeah.
Enjoys new things.
I don't know about that, because I know the things that I like and end up sticking with those because I'm comfortable with those things. So maybe not so much that.
To be fair, again, that's a reasonably like horoscopy thing. Like, you like to do new things. You much prefer being happy to being pissed off. And the final war strength, because you've got no other strengths other than this, you're shit. Self-confident and easygoing.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as getting older. Easygoing. Yeah, I would say
you're pretty
definitely easygoing.
Very rarely see you get wound up.
Yeah, it takes a lot. I've got a big threshold for getting properly wound up.
Yeah.
You know, like off the radar shit.
I've never seen you get wound up, and I'm annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
When I have, it's because I've done something that's annoying.
I've got a song that'll get on your nerves.
Yeah. Okay.
So onto the perceived weaknesses. Difficult to get to know / I say hard to read would be similar to that.
Yeah. Difficult to read, definitely. Yeah, I've been told that by many girls.
Enigmatic.
Oh, nice.
I think also that alludes to being able to get like relatively close in terms of relationship, not just female, but also like it'd take a while for me to get really comfortable with someone. Like for me to let them into my world, my inner circle.
To have these kinds of conversations with them.
So would that be because you're angsty about letting them in, or like because you have to earn this shit?
Yeah, more because
why should
I don't have room for that. Like not room, but like unless you've got something that I would really want, as in not just obviously physically, but you have to offer quite a lot to be in the world.
Why should I disrupt my pattern of life for you?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think that's a reasonable standard to have.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair.
Hard to get close, basically.
Yeah.
But once, I think I've seen a thing before, and I think that resonated with it, is that when you do actually manage to break through the barrier, you're solid in there. Yeah. You're like the ISTP will be like with you, like quite a strong like bond, basically.
Well, I guess because someone
right.
has had to demonstrate some qualities to you, and it's like they've you put them through a trial.
Yeah, almost like.
And it's like fucking fair
play. Yeah, not on purpose, but it basically is like a trial.
Yeah,
they have to get through the gauntlet.
Yeah,
they have to run the gauntlet to get
fair
through.
enough, man.
But yeah, like it's important to say, not in a contrived way. It's like, see if you can beat this.
Oh yeah, no, it's not like a on purpose
not like
test.
You're proud of it.
No.
I
think just take quite a bit of wearing down, basically.
I've worn him down over the years, listeners.
Yeah. Okay.
Insensitive.
Yeah, I've been accused of that. Definitely.
By women?
Yeah.
do you think you actually are, or is it back to like the stoicism?
No, I
not
think
showing your
I am.
hand?
I think I am a little bit unmovable. Maybe not completely unmovable, but closer to that in terms of like I will think a lot of things and often say them without regarding the other person's sort of feelings.
Yeah, that's pretty insensitive.
Yeah.
Grows bored easily. I guess it depends what you're doing.
Yeah. I think you've accused me of this a few times. When getting into certain games or whatever, I end up just arbitrarily or seemingly arbitrarily just fucking it off at some point just because like I'm bored of that now. It's just done. Yeah. For what looks like an unknown reason, probably is. Just like the quota has been reached.
I've had enough of this now. I've worked it out. Nothing more to do. Basically.
Yeah, and going back to like games and stuff, I do actually find that like I find the progression in games like the most exciting bit is like reaching new levels. But then once you're at a point where you can't see, or there is no further progression or to be had or seen, that it ends up becoming so much more boring. Like it's like playing GTA, for instance, and using all the cheats. Like I got no enjoyment out of. I got short-term enjoyment.
Yeah,
but,
10 minutes.
But,
like I've got tank.
Yeah, but then that ruined the game for me. Cheats ruin games, and having them there as a temptation is. I think
Does that count for games like Elden Ring as well? Like after like the kind of where you have to like rack up runes and stuff to level up. Like it gets to the point where it's like hours and hours.
Yeah,
and
no,
hours
I find that.
Like,
that's too much as well.
So it's like fun for the first 30 levels or something that it is.
I enjoyed it to begin with, but then it got to the
same.
point where I was like, this isn't going
Just
anywhere.
doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Like
just
Destiny.
Just to level up smaller and smaller increments
Yeah.
of power and strength. And
To make number go slightly bigger.
Yeah.
And that's we found that with
Kill the frogman.
with Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Where you run into the story. To be fair, the story was good.
Diablo.
Well, to be fair, both. They're reasonably similar in genre. But with Baldur's Gate, where we kind of over-leveled quite quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, you're level 10 now, you play the last half of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Done.
The last like quarter was fairly boring, where you had all the skills and
you're like, oh. Okay.
you're just using the same.
I want my like dog's bollocks powers.
Yeah, I found out the best few skills and that was it, and then
Which is a shame. So I do a similar thing with Civ, whereby when I know I'm definitely going to win, I stop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just fucking clicking.
Yeah.
I'm just clicking bomber on that city. Done.
Yeah.
Anyway, risk taker. I don't know. I would not say this is a weakness. So let's change this to like potentially reckless, maybe.
Yeah, well, that kind of goes back to one of the points on the list, the characteristics of like thrill-seeking behavior, or like I would kind of
ties in with that.
That's kind of risk-taking behavior. So,
But
this is
a negative sense.
Yeah, it's whether or not. Well, this is saying that if I am a risk taker, it's a weakness, but I don't know if I'm that much of a risk taker.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not, because I
wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a risk taker. No, or maybe it would be seen as a risk to other people, depending on what I'm doing. But to myself, maybe it wouldn't be, because I would have thought what I'm doing through, and so maybe because there's certain things that I would do which maybe certain people would think is a risk. Yeah,
but if you think it's within your bounds of competence, you're not going like,
I'm
doing this to go, woo!
Yeah, it's not a risk. Like,
give an example.
I reckon I can make this shot, so I'm going to expose myself to go for it. Kind of thing.
Okay.
Or I was thinking of something like, if I'm going to jump over something,
right, I
know that I'll be able to make it in whatever fashion, whatever.
Right.
So, but
because you wouldn't have done it.
Because I know.
Because you wouldn't. Sorry.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't attempt it or whatever.
If you weren't confident in your ability to get over the
hurdle, or something. Right. Yeah. If something.
But from
someone else, someone would be like, "Whoa, fucking hell, he's just jumped over that." That's he could have hurt himself. But I'd be like, "I know, I'm not, because I'm confident."
Yeah.
So maybe if you're looking at it from that angle, then maybe.
That sounds like a no, because for me, this is meant to be like, more reckless or impulsive as opposed to
Yeah,
you're doing things that are
it's
objectively
in the
unsafe.
context of like your temperament.
No, I
not
don't
perception
think so.
from the outside necessarily.
In that case, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm reckless. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the final weakness, because other than that, you're all rosy. Does not like commitment.
Yeah, I think it's like almost like a control thing where I don't like to be tied down to certain things, so that if other things come up, I'm not tied down. I can say like no to something. Does that make sense? That was a bit.
Yeah, but when we used to say to you, "Oh, are you free on this day?"
Yeah.
You'd be like, might not be.
Yeah.
And
Or
so
like,
like me
might
and John,
be,
we'd be
yeah.
like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just say yes."
Like I am as it stands, but I don't want to commit to saying because I don't want to basically.
Because if
Cancel.
something better comes up.
But it wasn't ever that. It wasn't if something better came up.
Right,
It was
right.
like I don't want to fully commit because I don't know what's around the corner. I don't want to.
I can't foresee what might
Yeah.
come up, and so
Yeah.
I may have to cancel. I'd rather just
Yeah.
be on the fence about it than make a commitment than have to back
Yeah.
out.
I'm a lot of that, but that was years ago. I'm a lot better at that now in terms of that sort of thing. You think?
100%.
Yeah. But in regards to other things, yeah, I don't like commitment because I feel like it encroaches on my own sort of freedom and ability to, because I like to be in a position where if I need to, I can just like get up and go, for instance, somewhere, or have X amount of something, whatever resource it may
Or
be,
like
to
have
do
something hanging over you where as you get closer, you're like, oh, I really, really don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I getcha. So there's I guess a general précis of, does that seem near enough like you? Obviously with the obvious caveats that these are hugely generic. I'd say
largely, but not as much as Matt's.
I
50,
think
60, kind of like.
this has far too much like daring do and swashbuckling to be you. So what do you reckon?
Yeah.
I'd say, to be fair, the emotional stuff's pretty fucking bang
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that more, but the more physical side of things, less so, like the action orientated and.
Well, learn by experience is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Logical as well.
Yeah.
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe 70%.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's enough though. But so basically, when you're assessing people for various things like conditions or illnesses or something, you don't have to get every single trait.
Yeah.
You normally have to get only like 50% of it.
As long as it's more than the others.
Yeah. So I say I think that's a reasonably similar. Reasonably good representation in terms of quite generic text. Right, I'm now going to have to pass this over.
Yeah, I will read these, but
To
I
someone
would like
else.
to pause the recording so I can take a pee.
Yeah, nice.
We'll be back momentarily.
We
And we are back from pee breaks. Let me get... So now we're going to talk about Dan's ENTJ characteristics. And we didn't say this at the beginning, but these are the results of the Enneagram personality tests?
Nope.
They're not?
This is a different.
This is a different one, okay.
This is known as like Myers-Briggs. Again, this system is flawed, but what it is like, if you think about it, like a good overview of a neighbourhood, more so than the specifics of what you can't say what your front garden looks like, but you can go, you live in like, I don't know, Richmond.
Okay, fair enough. But ballpark. Okay.
Yeah, why am I putting my thumbs up? Yes, ballpark.
Sorry everyone for not making that clear at the beginning.
Yeah, we suck.
Well, let's see if we find that in these characteristics. People with this personality type enjoy spending time with other people. They have strong verbal skills, and interacting with others helps them feel energized.
Me no talk so good. No, I said that's right. I've always had a bit of a flair for the communication. Often done the talking for other people, probably
definitely
when they don't want me to, on occasion. But yeah, that's right. Well, I'm always with people all the time.
But you enjoy spending time with other people.
You hate when you don't.
The vast majority of the time, yeah.
Okay.
But my nightmare is a day on my own, no one's about, I've got nothing to do.
Okay. So you feel energized being around other people. It doesn't drain energy from you.
Again, but with
It depends on the context and situation.
I say it would take an exceptionally annoying person to really drain me.
Fair enough.
And they do exist. You're out there.
These types prefer to think about the future rather than focus on here and now. They usually find abstract and theoretical information more interesting than concrete details.
Jason has a hangdog expression and is rolling his eyes like I've traumatised the fuck out of him from this. But you're absolutely... In fact, I'm often told, like, slow down, stop trying to get to the end. You're trying to be 3 steps ahead. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be. I just am, but also I might be wrong.
Right.
But the whole point is... The now is obviously important because obviously nothing will exist without action in the now. But in general, there's no point in the now if it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And if it's not going somewhere that's reasonably cogent, at least, you know.
That makes sense, yeah.
Um,
Just
and
looking at the goal at the end,
Yeah.
so that you are working towards something rather than just on a road.
Yeah. And it certainly in terms of abstract and theoretical, you know that's my thing. But very much I do understand things through analogy. So if you're trying to say something to me, I have to go off and out loud, oh, so it's like this thing. And then I'm like, I get it.
Okay. So that's quite good. I like that you jump backwards and forwards between the now and the future, like, cause it's like kind of like zooming in and zooming out, zooming in and zooming out. Like
Shoe and shoelace, one is pointless without the other.
there you go. When making decisions, ENTJs, place a greater emphasis on objective and logical information. Personal feelings and the emotions of others tend not to factor much into their choices.
I'd say yes and no. So I'm aware, like, if someone's going to really piss someone off, for example. But it's like, I know it's there, let's say it's about your own feelings, isn't it? So I will leap onto anything I think is going to work. I'm like this, to be fair, often quite recklessly, I would say. But the after effect obviously comes afterwards, where I'm like, shit, this might actually be really, really bad, and I hate this, and I'm miserable now. Whoops, I'm in too deep. And then I have to do like a very strong fighting retreat from the circumstance. So yeah, you know, I won't go into details, but there's stuff that I've got involved in where I've gone, yeah, this is going to be great, this is the future. And then when I've got more boots on the groundy on it, I'm like, even though logically I know this is going to work, like this is the thing that makes sense in a dispassionate world, I'm like, I'm miserable. Shit. But it's like a surprise.
Right, because we don't live in a dispassionate world.
No, exactly. Much to my chagrin.
ENTJs are planners. Making decisions and having a schedule or course of action planned out gives them a sense of predictability and control.
See, I don't actually know. And I'm not saying like I don't know in terms of I'm doubtful. I mean, I don't know. Jason did a little laugh there.
Yeah, I think the first bit certainly. I think
making
you
decisions.
do like to, you like to make the decision so you know what the plan is, or so that, again, alluding to what we was just saying a second ago, is that you like there to be something what you're working towards. So you like to especially verbalise what we're doing so that everyone in the community knows what we're doing, basically, what the plan is.
And I've seen you get
are.
very frustrated when a decision is failing miserably to be made.
Yeah, I do.
You're like, make a fucking decision. What with this or this?
Yeah.
Someone choose, or I will.
That, if almost verbatim, like that. Like, for fuck's sake, why is it that difficult?
I'm just going to walk in this direction now because you're all taking too damn long.
Yeah.
And you're either going to come with me or I'm going to be on my own.
Yeah.
And then I'll
No,
act,
actually, we're going this way.
I'll act confident, and then maybe 20 yards up the road, I'll just like give a glance back. Any fuckery?
Oh, they're still there. Okay.
No, they're still making a decision.
Then Charlie Brown walked back.
What was the last bit? Say the last bit again.
Having a schedule or course of action planned out gives them a sense of predictability and control.
I do like knowing what I'm doing. There needs to be flexibility.
Dan doesn't like surprises, so...
I fucking hate surprises. Yeah. Can't stand it.
Boo!
I need to change my pants now, sorry. But yeah, I'd say like a rigid plan, no. But just like generally what's going on, and I like to know what I'm doing. So this is why I get stressed out when people who are more off the cuff, if I've got stuff planned, and they're like, oh, we're changing this, or do you want to do this? I'm like, fuck off.
Right.
Yeah.
People just flipping back and forward kind of things.
Yeah, I do not like a flip-flopper.
No, they get between your toes.
Yeah, I also don't appreciate the footwear, to be fair, yeah.
Fucking
It's the plap, plap, plap noise.
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Crocs, sandals and flip-flops can all fuck off.
I agree. Fuck off. Fuck right off.
I don't know. I could think of a good pair of sandals.
No, you can't.
Like, because they don't exist, Matthew.
You goddamn heavy.
They're rational, highly rational, good at spotting problems, and excel at taking charge. These tendencies make them natural leaders who are focused on efficiently solving problems.
It's hard to say because I guess it's quite
So
pathological.
do all of these characteristics just blow different kinds of smoke up everyone's asses?
I'd say at this point, yeah.
Okay, right.
Because what they had with the controversy with this system is, in the very early days of implementing it, because, you know, in corporate worlds and like in the military and stuff, I believe it was designed to generally pigeonhole people through conscription in the Second World War.
Okay.
But a lot of people in the later days were like, that's not me, so they're like, fine, you're whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, I see.
So that there is an intrinsic flaw
often,
in it.
Yeah, based off of like the positive aspects of the
Right,
things.
okay,
It was rarely introduced with negative connotations to them. It was more like, this is what you are because this is what you're good at,
Right.
rather than
Yeah.
like, these are your weaknesses.
Which is great, like it tells you what kind of tool you are.
Yeah.
But, you know, I quite enjoy the other stuff that we've got into
Fair
from
enough.
this, where it's like, we're all dickheads, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense if there's a sort of a pragmatic purpose of the characterizations in the first place. Like you said, figuring out what kind of tool you are, where is best to place you in this organization based on these characteristics.
Yeah.
That makes
And, you know, it's all about kind of weirdly making people happy. Because I don't want to have people do things they're going to hate. Because number one,
Sure.
they're going to be shit at it.
Yep.
Number two, they're going to hate it.
Yes.
And then you'll lose it.
Yes.
So what's the point? Then nothing works properly.
Yes.
And then it's just a
Fair
bloody
enough.
nightmare.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, like playing a football team all in out of position.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, why would I
putting me up front, basically?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
uncomfortable.
Goalkeeper, you're gonna have a go in midfield today.
Yeah.
Or like putting an average right back in centre midfield in a major tournament with no preparation.
Who
Bit
does
like that. I don't know. Some
England
cuck.
would do that
No, they never do
because
that.
they're far too clever and tactically mindful.
Or, I love an ill thought through tactic. But yeah, sorry, back to topic. What was last one?
So natural leaders who are focused on efficiently solving problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I do generally find myself not like in charge in a tyrannical way, I hope, but more like, well,
Don't tell them.
fuck off. Someone's got to do it. And do you know what, it's funny, it's something that my dad said to me a few years ago when like some friends were leaving the house, and he said, people are weirdly naturally deferential to you. I was like, I hadn't really noticed that. Obviously not like everyone, but there's horses for courses. But my general thing is king of the nerds.
I think
that's what I like.
I think what comes into that is actually everyone's got a timer on taking action, and a lot of people's obviously just has a long time to tick before they want to or feel forced to make a decision. So yours is so short that you jump in and try and or just end up making decisions or asking for the plan quicker than others. So that's why it always comes off, because you know, if you're in the room, then
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, you're trying to shut me up. But to be fair, the thing that I like to convey to others is I've spoken about this to you, like, about the business and stuff. Is I want everyone to know that there is a plan for the future. It's going somewhere. I believe it's going to work. It's not arbitrary. I'd love you all to be there with me if you want to buy in. I don't mean buy in with the moolah, but it's buy into the vision. And if I'm chatting shit and if I've got a better idea, please fucking put it forward. Because if there's no better idea, then we're going with mine because it's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not meant to be like a, you know, I'm the boss and you're the worker kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, well, if there's no other...
This is the working plan
Yeah.
we've got.
If there's
You
no
have
other
to-
train track,
Yeah.
then
Any criticisms,
we're on this one.
let me know. If not, we'll do this till we figure something else out. Or
Boom.
we bump up into some other problems.
Exactly.
And then we'll
Yeah,
repeat the
I think
process.
that's about right.
Exactly
that
Seems
goes in,
reasonable.
lies into the ties into when we're, like, say again, playing games. Say when we're playing COD, you'd often come up with the main, like, the first objective of like what we should do. Obviously, there are things that happen during the course of the game or whatever where we might need to change that, and you're happy to go along with that. But for the first outline mission, yeah, you're happy to jump in and call that one out.
Precisely, because it's not like, oh, I just feel going over here because it's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's more, well,
This is objectively what is probably
that,
the best.
that
course
generally
of
makes
action.
the most sense, and particularly like a lot of stuff is deceptively chaotic. Like, you really can't predict stuff that cogently. So it's like, this is the best chance we've got with the criteria we know probably should work.
Mhm.
So
And
we'll
here's
have
the
a
first
bash at
step.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first step and the last step. I've got the train station at the
Yeah.
beginning. I've got the end one. If you guys build the fucking train, all right. Yeah, that's about right.
Mhm.
Well, and I guess also it helps making a decision, because even if it's the wrong decision,
It forces that.
it forces that to become...
Yeah, that's what I mean. The
yeah,
first step.
yeah,
Is
Sorry, I'm
it's pushing everyone to go, like, say, playing a game of Monopoly. It's pushing everyone to the first step so that you can start the game.
Yeah.
Right. And then, because then you can respond to the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever pops up.
You know, like I always do the coin toss, so what we're going to have for dinner. So I go, even if it's the one you don't want, then you know what you do want.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Flawless logic.
Oh, go on then.
ENTJs are not necessarily good with emotions, but that does not mean they are intentionally cruel. They are prone to hiding their own emotions and sentimentality, viewing it as a weakness that should not be made known to others.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that happens to me and gets said to me that is very painful. And I'll just like go, yeah, man. Or whatever, and it's like, keep going on.
Oh, yeah,
It's
cool,
a bit,
man.
I am a bit afraid of the weakness, but it's also, there is no point in me bringing it up, because maybe they didn't mean it, or they're not going to change. Or in the darker sense, I'll get you for that later. That kind of thing. So basically, there's no
Don't give
tactical
them satisfaction.
benefit of being like, hey, that was mean to me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm probably mean about a lot of other people, so it'd be hypocritical for someone to dig me out for something and then
Definitely.
me be like,
Well, and then if someone is being mean to you, then being a whiny bitch about it gives them more of a reason and justification.
exactly.
For...
I don't want them to be right.
Yeah.
Precisely that.
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, strengths and weaknesses. Strength, strong leadership skills.
I don't think I can answer that. That's for other people
I
to
think
answer,
that
I would imagine.
basically been
And
through
we've
that
covered
with
it
the-
like 3 or 4
covered
times.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-assured. Not by that last answer.
No,
you fucking right.
But I'm self-assured enough to say it, bro. I'd say in a lot of ways. So in like the rational, we are doing stuff world, very. In the emotional world, complete shit.
Mm.
So I think I said to you before, like, in a very emotionally loaded atmosphere, or even like just one where you have to do a casual vibe, like weddings, for example. Like, please do invite me. There's stuff about them I think are great, but when it's all like the emotional bit and we're just sitting down and talking about how nice it was, I am. It's not like I'm going, oh, it's snarling, this is awful emotion. I'm just like, I am uncomfortable because I ain't got anything to add to this. It's like everyone's looking at you, expecting you to do humanity, and I'm like, fuck.
You contributed with, like, when we were talking about Chile's, what's the name for the person, officiator or whatever it's called. I think after
Or celebrant or something, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever that. We were kind of like reflecting on the quality of her performance or whatever it was she was doing.
Yeah, everyone was going,
Yeah,
oh, it was nice. And I went, she didn't shut the fuck up, did she?
Well, no, I think we all said the same things, because she was talking about Shilly and Lizzie, our friends who got married,
Hey, guys.
and we were like, I would like to hear this from them.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I think I remember you saying that, and I was like, yeah, I had the very, very similar.
I believe you, but I
similar,
can't remember.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The beer and prosecco was flowing, so. But no, fair enough. Well organised.
I think my mind is quite well organised, but in the physical world, probably not.
Okay.
Like, I'm quite punctual, to be fair. Probably tyrannically
Yeah, in
annoyingly
terms of, like,
punctual.
turning up on time and things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people would say
Punctual,
that
yeah.
I'm a messy fucker.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good at making decisions. Maybe.
Good at making decisions, not necessarily making the right decisions, but certainly a decision will be
Who will
made.
know this? Assertive and outspoken.
Certainly outspoken.
Yeah, I know, because outspoken...
If you think something, you say it, right?
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah.
Again, I believe you, I just don't know,
Yeah.
because it happens
Usually,
naturally.
if you have a thought, you are straight out with it.
Just like,
so,
for fuck's sake, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
so-
don't tend to dwell on the thought. Because you're usually, when you have a thought, you're pretty sure of it, so...
Or there's just no quality control going on.
Yeah.
The factory line
Less
is
of
so
that as well.
efficient, we're just knocking out duds.
Yeah.
It's like you're making some kind of Fabergé egg. I'm just belting out orders from Wish. In my mind, that's how it's
Yeah.
going.
Strong communication skills.
I hope so. Yeah, I do hope so. Like, I normally can't shut up whether or not that means they're good or cogent or interesting is up for debate.
Well, I guess I when I hear strong communication skills, I think about getting a point across or
being able to articulate to one or many people what it is that you think. Which I guess you have to be, right? Because if you're the kind of person who can sort of direct decisions, right, or like this is what we're going to do and here's why. I think you kind of need to be a good communicator.
Yeah, it's I never say just Cots, shut up.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like there's
yeah.
whether people listen to the reasons or not is another point.
Yeah.
Like I think you need to, in order to do that in a non-tyrannical manner, as we've just been discussing, I think you'd have to be a good communicator. Otherwise, you wouldn't get across your reasons.
That'd be the opposite of me making a decision, saying, "Look, we're going to do this, but just trust me, it's the right one."
Yeah.
Because that's not good communication. That's just take my word for it.
Yeah.
I'll take the dub on that one.
So
then,
yeah,
chaps.
I think
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to be analysing yourself, but okay.
Oh, that's very difficult.
Weaknesses: impatient.
Obviously, yeah.
Hurry up,
I'm like the least patient person in the fucking world.
Stubborn.
You are.
I would imagine I'm quite stubborn. Yeah, but weirdly open to suggestion. there's a joke in there somewhere. But yeah, quite stubborn about certain things. I might not show it all the time. Like if it's not advantageous to kick off, but I'll be kicking off inside. 100%. Yeah.
Insensitive.
Fuck you. What would I even be? I think I am naturally insensitive, but I've got quite good at like softening the blow.
Okay.
Kind of thing, because if I'm being maybe like a bit cold about something, I don't mean anyone any harm, but also they'll take it in the wrong way, so I'll soften that, like do a bit more pretense of feelingness about stuff. So let's say if someone talks about like a really emotionally loaded situation, I'm not going to say, I have nothing to offer and I don't care. Because I don't not care, it just isn't like registering that deeply. I'm just trying to think like,
how can I make this better?
Yeah, exactly. How can I fix this? But when it's one that's like, someone I know's just got like a terminal illness or something, I'm like, don't know what to. I'm like, there. It's not like I don't care, but it's like it's not in my wheelhouse to deal with that.
I relate to that.
So I'm like, that's a pisser.
This is quite interesting because I have I had a conversation with someone recently about this, and they sent me a poem. I can't remember it, but it's in those kinds of situations. I think it's because men kind of like tend towards this as well. It's like you come to someone with a problem, and we're like, okay, what can we do to get around this problem that you have? And there are some situations where, like those sort of heavily emotionally loaded ones, where that's not required, like it's not necessary, and that what is required is purely to just sit in the in that moment, in the emotions with somebody. And it is difficult because you have this compulsion to want to help, you have this compulsion to want to comfort.
I'm not putting this on, though. That genuinely was like a real natural cringe.
No, fair enough. But like what is required sometimes is just to sit in the emotional state with somebody, just to be in it. Because they're in it, like, because especially with things like death or like terminal illnesses or things that are intractable. Like if someone comes to you with an intractable problem, it doesn't, like, you're like, I want to try and help, I want to try and resolve the problem, but there is no solution to the problem. So the only thing you can do, because they're in it, right? Nothing you say changes the fact they are where they are. And so the only thing that you can do that is of any benefit, or any help, is I'm
saying that's not the thing.
Sorry. It's just
you can't just say, come on, man, get
a grandparent that's died. I will work on some kind of resurrection formula.
No, it's just like all right. Well, then I'm here with you.
Yeah,
I'm in it.
Right. Well, that's it. That goes back to the empathy, basically.
Yeah. Because there's that phrase. I think John's brought it up. It's not about the nail.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it not about the nail? The nail's hurting you, fucking idiot.
Yeah.
If I've got a nail, take it out. Bloody hell, man. I obviously get what you're saying, but that's why it's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, of course.
It's like I'm exposed as inhuman. I'm like, honestly, I'm like, fuck, I've been caught out here. Would you like a sales job?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find this poem.
Oh, is it good?
It's quite good. Can I read it to you? Would you mind? It's not too long.
Sure. It's not too feely, is it?
Well, we'll find out.
Of course it's a poem.
It's called The Invitation by, this name's going to wind you up, Oriah Mountain Dreamer.
Oh.
It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, or for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the centre of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals or have become shriveled and closed off from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I don't know what that means.
I'll get it.
I want to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day. If you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know, or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the centre of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments.
Ladies and gentlemen, England will be playing 4-4 fucking 2. Your friend's an INFP, whoever wrote that, by the way. I get it. Like, I can...
No, I'm just that's the sentiment. That's like the...
No, I see it. Like, I understand it. I don't not resonate with the base intuitive point. If you like, it's just... There's a lot of, like, very icky, intense emotion there to me, which, again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, for me, that's like... Bleh.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I get what they're saying. Like, I understand it. It's just... Because I'm so, like... What's the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? Focus. It's more like, okay, I understood what you meant. Like,
sure,
let's wrap it
sure.
up.
Fair enough.
But it's not bad as it goes. But no, I can see the sentiment. Yeah.
Aggressive.
Certainly in my younger days. Maybe now still reasonably aggressive. Not like in predatory aggression. Like I'm just gonna fuck you up for existing. But maybe my demeanour is quite aggressive. Yeah, what do you guys
I think it's the first reaction to certain things, yeah. Where others won't have the same.
Well, and also I would say only in certain company. Like I think when you're with us or with your friends, if something winds you up, you will respond as if it winds you up. Although I think I don't necessarily see you out by. I would imagine, or when I have seen you among other people, that you don't. You wait till later to tell people you're comfortable telling that you're wound up by something. It isn't necessarily like, or like maybe there's like some twitches or whatever.
Twitches. I'm quite twitchy anyway. See, I would say I'm actually much less comfortable being honest and mean to my friends than people in the world. I think I'm much more aggressive, like day to day. If a stranger is looking at us funny or it's like a dick on the road, the barking dog is fucking coming out.
Oh, no, I didn't mean like strangers, like, I meant like, I guess like people you would be interacting with, like, on an acquaintance basis.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be like, you're annoying me, shut up.
Yeah.
I'll choke it down.
No, fair enough.
Because there's no point.
Yeah, the
and later I'll be like, fuck me, this dickhead. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Intolerant.
Maybe not in a politically loaded way. But I would say, yeah, there's certain things that, for me, denote things that I don't like or have disdain for.
Sure.
And that's fucking it for you, sunshine. Yeah, I think that's probably
the
first.
decision's been made.
Somewhat intolerant.
Yeah.
But not in the politically loaded sense.
Yeah, not like arbitrarily, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But things like, I think people contrivingly trying to stand out and be like so special.
Sure.
I'm just like, what are you fucking doing? So to me, that says, I'm going to offer nothing because I'm so special by existing. That kind of thing is what gets on my tits. So like, if you manifest that, then basically I'm having you. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that's the end of your weaknesses.
Oh, thank God for that. So that pretty cut and shut, this one, to be honest. That was pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was going to say...
There were no points
More.
there that I strongly disagreed with.
Yeah.
Shit. No,
Yeah,
I'm an archetype. I'm a cartoon character.
Yeah, definitely harder than ours. Harder, yes, than we were for ours. On this particular site, we might add.
Yeah, of course.
There's different...
This is verywellmind.com if anyone that is interested. Myers-Briggs, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or 16 personalities, as it's colloquially known as well. The cartoony one, basically. There's a lot more to delve into, like different little nuances and systems and such, which I think are much more scientifically valid. He says scientifically, but you know what I mean. As in more anecdotally or empirically visible and kind of replicable and predictable.
Right.
That's what I go. If something's visible, you can see a pattern and you can predict it, then it's likely to be real. Is my general theory of things.
Yes, generally we use this to try and predict in which a particular type of person will react or think of a certain way, basically.
And to be fair, it's very frequently
Yeah,
pretty correct.
Close enough. Yeah.
You'll get a ballpark.
Yeah.
And people do things that we would generally expect of them. So someone we think has like very low intuition, we will quite quickly look at each other and go, oh, they did a bit there, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to use your expression from the last episode to get back to the essay question of like how well can you fit people into these kinds of categories. You know, I mean, like we're all the same animal at the end of the day. There's going to be commonalities in how we think or how we respond to certain situations. I think like with all kind of psychological or biological categories is well, like those things are messy. Human beings, as much as we have a lot in common with each other, like the differences we have, they're messy and they're like biological categories as well.
There's a lot of crossover. And
right.
Obviously, you're not just one of 16 people in the world.
Sure.
Of the 16 types, you know, there's much more nuance to it than that. So it's like we say, it's a good starting point. And what you often people do is add the Enneagram to the Myers-Briggs index, so it sort of adds a second layer to it. So you're not just the ISTP, you're the ISTP 5-6, as it were, or something, which is what I am.
Yeah.
And obviously you'd have your own. And
it does add flavour. So there'll be a lot of people who'd be ENTJs, who might be like a 3, who'd be a bit more like of a smug kind of cat, like, I just want to win and I want my finery kind of thing. Whereas because I'm an 8-7, that makes me very extroverted and quite aggy and forceful, for example.
Okay. That's interesting.
But as a jumping off point, I think you could do a lot worse.
Fair enough, yeah.
So I would be inclined to conclude that to a certain degree, yes, you can categorise people, because we find people who say you can't normally fall into the same 1 or 2 categories, and for me that is very funny when they're saying it. I'm like, would it annoy you if I told you everyone of your type says the same thing? No! Well, that's what they say as well. So that they don't like, they feel like it's controlling.
So what? I mean, I find it difficult to imagine that someone would say that you can't categorise people at all.
Oh, they do, man. They do.
Because it seems like I mean,
a lot of people feel like they are a special
particularly
outlier.
Special.
Yeah, like I'm not like everyone. I'm not like anyone
Like
that I know.
Everyone's player one kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot. I do.
But I am the exception, by the way, guys.
I was about to say I think I have done.
Yeah. People don't like to be put in a box as well. People don't like to be told what they are.
To be fair,
you know,
I don't. I mean, it's like
No.
I've said this to several people recently. I don't like to place myself politically or philosophically.
yeah.
It's one of the reasons why my podcast is called The Critical Skeptic, because
It makes people feel like they can't
good,
act outside of those sort of boundaries or whatever. But you know, it's not the case. It's just what you what you gravitate towards, a certain way of being. This is it's a generalization.
I think that like you're mistaking a conceptual framework for like a box that someone's drawing around you that limits your ability to act, and it's like, well, no, we're just trying to think about what's going on, and these are the best categories we've got for the moment.
Yeah.
That might change, but this is our working theory. The categories aren't limiting.
Yeah.
They're just like the best attempts at giving a description of what's going on within human psychology.
Yeah, it's like going, that's a tiger. And someone going,
It's
actually that's a Siberian tiger. Like, it's a tiger, you fuck.
Yeah. It's a tiger first, then it's the
Yeah.
the
Right,
next
it's
layer
like
down.
a tiger crossed with a lion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's still basically a tiger, but the reality is messy compared to the concept. But it's
Precisely.
still a pretty good concept to use. If your question is this thing going to eat me?
Yeah,
Well, it's a
precisely.
tiger.
Precisely.
Tiger.
So likely
Just-
it'll have a bash.
Yeah.
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 And I think the reason I love all this stuff is it actually gives me a lot of kind of hope and faith, funnily enough, because things evolve for a reason, right? So all these things are here for a bloody good reason. That means you are fulfilling something that's fucking not only important to you, but that is crucial to how we got here as a species and where we're going. So for me, that's so life-affirming. Do you see what I mean? Like that.
Well,
all of
having a role.
everywhere, yeah. There was always someone who was a bit like you doing that, and you are now carrying that flame for this generation or your area. And I think that's fucking great.
Doing it in a different way.
I think
in
that's
the modern
fantastic.
world.
And that for me, that gives a link to the past and to the future and to kind of everything else. So
Well,
you're always part of
As
something.
to say as well, not that everyone's not the same, and we're not all like one type of being, sort of thing.
Exactly.
All robots.
Exactly that. And for me, that gives a lot of meaning.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
I think. Awesome. This has
That's
been the
Sons of Aries podcast.
Like a fucking AI.
This is the Sons of Aries signing off.
This is episode 4 or whatever it is.
It's 4.
Boom. Got it in one with a stab in the dark.
Beautiful. See you later, everyone. Take care of
Nice.
yourself.
Bye.
Bye.